with. I like that thumbnail.
It is Christmas Eve. Welcome to Double Fries No Slaw. Mike Norvell with his little Santa hat. I didn't know what to do for a thumbnail today, so that's what you guys get. Richie, Merry Christmas, bro. How are you doing?
Yeah, Merry Christmas. It's a beautiful weekend. I got a whole beef tenderloin. I'm getting ready to get started here as soon as we finish up here. But yeah, man, it's a beautiful day. I've not watched a single second of college football since the snub, but I'm excited for next week, the Orange Bowl, and I will watch the playoff. It's as hurtful as that may be, but I'm excited for everything here.
Have you been boycotting the bowls or just busy?
I think more busy than anything. I've been on a pretty cold streak gambling towards the end of the season. So,
Ooh.
and I think betting on bowls is just the worst idea ever, unless you truly take the time to see who's playing, who's not, and really get an idea of who cares to be there, who doesn't. I lose so much money during bowl season, so that's probably part of it as well.
Yeah, betting bowl season is a crap show. And I really wanted to bet
Really is.
I wanted to bet a lot of things yesterday and just didn't. But I still watched a lot. So I will say that I'm still partaking. For all the people that want me to boycott ESPN and Disney, like I get it, but also like it's still college football.
Yeah.
I can do that or watch my kids and
Sounds great, doesn't work. Like the boycott, whatever. I don't care about that. Everyone knows how I feel about Kirk Herbstreit. He knows he's blocked me, and several other. Now, TJ, like I got all these ACC beat writers starting to block me now because I keep going after them.
Who all you got so far?
Swain, the random Wake Forest dude.
That guy we had on?
No, not less. He's still but he's been pretty quiet as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I went to his page to try and stir some trouble up, and there wasn't really much there.
Yeah, but no,
I think he knew after this year, like it's not worth it.
Yeah, there was one guy, I forget his name, but he's like, just for you guys, just so you know, I deal with Panther layers, so I'm not worried. And he had like 200 quote tweets, and then he posted right below. He's like, all right, guys, maybe you shook me a little bit.
Yeah.
Florida State Twitter does not mess around.
Certainly a different thing, like a different animal for sure. So, all right, we'll talk a little bit like Christmas later, but we'll get up to like the we'll get into what people want to hear about. But Double Fries No Slaw brought to you by Guthrie's in Tallahassee. You can visit all three of their locations. I'm getting really close to where I know all three addresses, but I'm still not there completely. So it's 2550 North Monroe, 1818 West Tennessee Street. And then that third one is on Appalachia, 2870 Appalachia Parkway on the other side of town. If you don't have anything for Christmas dinner, make sure you stop by and get you some Guthrie's for Christmas. So, hey, thank you guys for hanging out today. I know it is Christmas Eve, but we're on a pretty long streak of doing shows consistently, and I certainly wasn't going to push this off until tomorrow, being Christmas Day, and then once it got to Tuesday, then we probably would have been too hungover to do it. So at least Richie would have been. So anyway, So thanks for hanging out with us on Christmas Eve. If you're watching on the replay or live, Merry Christmas to you. If you celebrate, if you don't, then have a good holiday, whatever. I'm not here to offend anybody. So, all right, Richie, let's get into it. I've done a video or two on this. I live streamed the Board of Trustees meeting. I don't know which version of it you were tuned into. It seemed like every channel on YouTube that deals with Florida State certainly was tuned into that, but I still have it on my desk. I celebrated a little bit afterwards. If you were live with me at 11 a.m. on Friday, but I've shared a lot of thoughts on this. I've spoken about this a ton, so I'll shut up and let you kind of share your thoughts on the ACC FSU feud battle Christmas gift that we sent them the other day.
Yeah, it was basically exactly what I thought it was. I was at work and I went and told my assistant, I'm like, hey, I'm shutting the door. I got a call I got to listen into, which technically is not a lie technically.
Yeah.
And Yeah, it was exactly what I thought it was. I knew they weren't going to announce we're going to the SEC or the Big Ten or whatever. This was the first necessary step that Florida State had to take, and it's and I give credit to Florida State, Michael Alford, President McCullough, everybody involved because they truly did take every step necessary or every action they could have possibly taken to make things work in the ACC. And, I felt like the previous Board of Trustees meeting that, really shook the college football world, that was more of a warning shot, if anything, and nothing came of it. And I was like, this has to be something. You can't just talk about things again without action. And we got the action, right? That lawsuit was filed. I found it interesting that the ACC filed the lawsuit on Thursday, the day before Florida State filed theirs. So they clearly caught wind of what was going on. Andrea Adelson was there covering Florida State recruiting signing day, which she never does. So that was a pretty clear sign that, she knew what was going on. And, Florida State did what, in my opinion, they had to do. And, we've all read the complaint. We've heard different people talk about it. I saw you had our buddy from Rohan Law on to talk about it. I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand the space at all. And from what I can understand, this is unprecedented. So we'll see what happens. But I'm happy Florida State is leading the way because I know there are several other schools in the ACC that are sitting back watching saying, please, we need Florida State to win this. Clemson, North Carolina, Miami, Virginia, all these schools, they don't have the balls to take this step that Florida State did, but they're watching from afar saying, please, guys, if you guys win this lawsuit, I guess for Miami is the only one that would really make a big difference if the court, if the case is heard in Florida. We'll see where it happens. If it's North Carolina, that makes me a little iffy about it. But if it does happen in Florida, I feel really good about Florida State's chances of winning this lawsuit. In Miami might be the people to come with us because, again, every state is different, but I do think the fact that Florida State is the partner with the ACC, they are the plaintiff, so they should have preference here based on what I've read, guys. Again, not a lawyer, talk to some lawyer friends, but yeah, it was a necessary first step, and I'm just happy that the ball is rolling, hopefully in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree with you. We talk all the time about in football, home field advantage, in the attorneys that we've spoken with, which we had, like you said, Doug from Rohan Law. And I spoke with a specific contracts law attorney, somebody who practiced contracts law. Also, I'll just say at one time may or may not have been affiliated with Florida State. I'll try and be careful with how much of that I say. We might get him on. So at that point, then it'll be kind of like, oh, well, here's who this is. But at this point, I'll let that person enjoy their Christmas in peace. Spoke with a contract, but trying to learn as much as I can. Spoke with a contracts law attorney. Doug practices criminal law and personal injury. So it's a little bit different, but can still at least understand like the legal terms. And that's really why we had him on, was to explain in layman's terms what the legal terms meant. Like, he didn't come on and give this is what's going to happen because I'm a contract law expert, but we may get a contracts law expert on. You guys really liked that video yesterday with Rohan Law. If you haven't seen that yet, certainly go check it out. If you want to know more, just kind of a broken down version of like what this case, what they're saying. And it was really one of the better videos that I don't want to say done, but just ever been a part of, because I was just sitting there learning as much. I feel like, Richie, when we interview people about football, like I know what their answers are going to be. Like, Hey, coach, what did you think when you got this recruit? What did you think when you called this third down play and it went for we were excited. What the answers are going to be.
Yeah.
Hey man, how's your quarterback situation? You're interviewing a Miami guy and it's terrible, right? Like, so you just know, but like I was asking him questions, like I had no clue. I was like, hey dog, explain this to me. So it was really, really good. Home field advantage would be important. I honestly doubt that either side gets it. I think we talked about this with Doug, but like both sides will continue to fight for it. And finally nobody will agree until they'll just kick it up to federal court. But if they use the Florida laws, still kind of an advantage for.
Well, from what I understand, if it does go to federal, they would be interpreting Florida laws at that point, which is huge for Florida State. And again, we're in unprecedented territory, and I'm here for it because clearly, TJ, this is what they haven't released the ACC football schedule yet for next year, right? Because I'm expecting Clemson, Miami, Notre Dame, all like in a 3-week stretch at this point. It's gonna be uncomfortable when they have the Amelia Island spring meetings. That'll be fun.
Can't
TJ,
wait for all of it.
TJ,
Cannot wait for all of it.
I think we have to go to ACC Media Days in Charlotte, TJ. I don't think we have a choice.
Yeah, it may need to. I've seen this joke tossed around a lot, but maybe need to go pick up some sod from a certain building in Charlotte. So, yeah, it's a good thing we play Charleston Southern on the 23rd of November. I already have that scheduled.
That'd be Clemson otherwise.
Yeah, because I was going to say, November 9th is Notre Dame, and then, it'd probably be Clemson the very next week, and then Miami the very next week, and then obviously the Florida game to end it. So, which, at least you'd probably go into that at 8-0 and then see how you fare down the stretch. So maybe that's not the worst, 10-2 kind of worst case there. But yeah, it'll be awkward. It'll be uncomfortable. Hey, thank you guys again for tuning in. I know it's Christmas Eve. Maybe you're doing this to escape from your families like I am. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I just made reindeer pancakes for the kids and stuff. And then Kara was like, "Oh, you got your show?" And she's like, "Oh, I'll just clean up." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, that's my Christmas gift, is not having to clean up after my kids just destroyed the kitchen after I made pancakes." But yeah, I think it'll be uncomfortable. It'll be awkward. I think that at the end of the day, I don't know. My gut says that they end up settling on this, and it, there's stuff that the ACC doesn't necessarily want to come out. I think there's stuff that, they'd like to keep this under wraps, but man, they're in a rough spot. Obviously there is a doomsday scenario for Florida State and a penultimate, scenario for the ACC that could go really, really well. And that would be that it goes all the way through court. And at the end of the day, the Florida State loses on absolutely everything. And we get a year and a half, 2 years down the road, and we're just in the same spot that we were in now. At that point, well, I'm going to do a video on what would happen at that point. So I'm not going to say what I think, but I've been told a few things. But if that happens, then that's obviously the best scenario for the ACC, and other teams, don't end up jumping on. But if Florida State wins on any of this stuff, Richie, it then gives every other team the playbook on how to get out. And to me, that's the most dangerous. The most dangerous thing for me is not the ACC losing Florida State. It is, in a sense, because Florida State is really who has carried this conference for the last 30 years. I know that the last 10 have not necessarily been the greatest, but just from a media standpoint, a TV standpoint, it still has. But if Florida State finds a way to get out, that is the nail in the coffin. Not everyone else, but Clemson will go, Miami will go, North Carolina will go. I think Virginia will go.
Virginia's gone. Yep.
And then at that point, the ESPN doesn't renew the media rights deal,
After 2027, which was news to me.
And so then if you're a good football school that cares about football, but just not really at that elite status as far as academics or athletics. If you're an NC State, does the Big 12 look more attractive to you? If you're Virginia Tech, if you're Pittsburgh, teams that do care and do kind of put their best foot forward, does jumping at that point make more sense because there's just more stability? You're not necessarily, the Pac-12 teams, Richie, that left, Colorado and different teams that left the Pac-12, they're not making like buku bucks more than they were in the Pac-12. Like the media deals are similar. Now they are a little bit better, and I would expect the Big 12 will renegotiate with some of these teams in it, especially if Coach Prime's there and other. Like I think you're going to see that floor raised in the Big 12. But the media deals are not like astronomically different between what the Pac-12. There's just more stability. Like you just know the Pac-12, and so if you're the ACC, if you're Pittsburgh and you're making $35 million a year from a media rights deal, you'll actually make a little bit more when a couple of teams jump because it gets split evenly. But at that point, you don't have stability. I'd rather go to the Big 12 where I know that I'm guaranteed the next however many years for $5 million a year less, but I'm not going to get left out in the cold in a year and a half. So I don't know. I think that they're in trouble. If Florida State finds a way to get out of this, outside of them just like negotiating a undisclosed buyout, signing an NDA and saying, don't ever talk about it, that could work for the ACC. But if that happens, I still think Clemson's just going to do it too. But if Florida State wins on any of these 7 counts or 6 counts, whatever it is, the ACC's in a lot of trouble. Because then what's to keep the other 16 teams from just doing it right after it? The Noles do.
To me, it's the end of the ACC. It really is, because if Florida State wins this, then that makes it that much easier for all of the other schools who are serious about football. Clemson, Miami, North Carolina, even more for a basketball standpoint, but North Carolina might be the most valuable brand in the ACC, not named Florida State, to be honest, just because of what they are. Yeah, and I think it's telling that the loudest and most vocal people being upset about this are Wake Forest fans and beat writers, Southern Methodist fans and beat writers, Cal, all the schools that know they don't have a
Southern
home.
Methodist, calling them by their full name, bro. You're so rude. I was like,
that
wait a minute. Oh, SMU.
but they all know they don't have a home outside of the ACC. The Big 12's not taking Southern Methodist. They're not taking Cal. Stanford. Stanford. Oddly, I thought Stanford would have been a good fit for the Big Ten just from an academic standpoint. But yeah, they really haven't been good since Andrew Luck. So I don't know. It's just this is blowing up the ACC, and that's why Jim Phillips gave a much more firm position here than he did when we got left out of the college football playoff, which, not surprising, but just hilarious to think about in itself. But yeah, I'm excited. I think this is a great first step, but I'm also nervous because we don't know how this turns out. We hope this gets tried in Tallahassee, Florida, but I agree with you, TJ. I do think a settlement is probably what they want. If they say, hey, if we can get out for $200 million out the door, there are Florida State, power players that will gladly write that check and we'll be done. But next season is going to be interesting in all sports to see how Florida State is treated, because even, road games next year, how's Florida State, what's the reception going to be?
Not
because we
well,
are
it depends on
clearly,
who's filed yet. If four teams have filed by that point, then you might just have a
yeah, but if we're still the only one, but I think the timeline here is also interesting because Florida State has till, I believe, the beginning of August to inform the ACC we're leaving. If we've informed them that we're leaving, I mean, we're going to get everyone's best shot, and we're probably not getting the benefit of many calls from the officials.
Yeah, if you hate to settle on a season before it starts, but if we announce that we're leaving, and really even if we don't, I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen.
It's going to be ugly. Yeah.
Just get ready for 7-5. Like, there's no way the refs let us win more than 5. Just
got to go 4-0 non-con.
Yeah, just get ready.
And you're not beating Notre Dame up in South Bend if that's the case.
It'll be worth it. Listen, we'll do a lot of ref videos next year. You guys can just kind of sulk with us there. So, hey, Mike Holly, thank you for the super chat. Nothing really came through with it, but if you have a question or a comment later, we appreciate you for the love and the support there. Oh man, I never found a Jameis saying like Merry Christmas or something. I'm sure he has because he's freaking hilarious. I can't wait to see how. Oh no, they played the other day, I think. Or no,
did you see his briefcase,
dude? And did you see what he said? Did you see what he said with it? He was "There's nothing in here, just like."
That's what's standing between us and greatness.
Yeah, there's not.
I mean, Jameis, man.
He's the funniest person in the NFL, and it's really not.
Oh, 100%.
Just absolutely great. So, all right, that probably puts a bow, not to be cliche, or to be cliche, it doesn't really matter. On the ACC talk, we'll certainly talk about that more. Hey, I'm working on something right now. Maybe it'll come out on Tuesday. Maybe we'll see. But just on, there's been a lot of talk about the 3 teams that were added. You mentioned SMU, Stanford, and Cal. How that might have been a bad move by the ACC. So yes. I've got a few people that I've chatted with, and I'm working on something for that. So if you're not already, hit the subscribe button and don't miss that.
And John, Florida State voted against those 3 schools as well.
Yeah, which I've got a theory. I've got a tinfoil hat theory. Not a Santa hat theory. But John, thank you for the love. Merry Christmas to you as well. Look at Harlan with the. Do they have any Christmas noises, Harlan?
Harlan showed up. What's up, Harlan?
Yeah, he made it. All right, let's keep rolling. I don't remember what I had next on here. All right, QB's in the portal. All right, a lot of questions on Cam Ward, a lot of questions on DJ Uiagalelei. Obviously, no resolution here. There's been a lot of speculation that something could happen today, tomorrow, or on it'd be Tuesday. All my days are the same at this point. Just strategic, kind of expected a decision on or around or after Christmas or shortly after. So could you get some movement? Could you get an announcement over the next day or 2 or 3? Absolutely. I've not been told that is certified about to happen or anything like that. I know that, if you're on social media, if you follow any of your rival fans, I saw the Miami fans literally had Cam Ward to the U trending last night. Nobody gets riled up quite like an internet fan base. And so shout out to them for pre-celebrating that. Maybe Cam Ward to the U. I'm not quite sure yet. But Cam Ward, DJ Uiagalelei, neither one officially committed yet. I have heard rumors, Richie, that like, and this is what everyone figures, so I don't really know that I'm breaking any news here, but I have heard rumors that like they have DJ like waiting in the wings. Like he's good to go. Like, and so like there's people out there that are just kind of complaining that we have to make a decision and we have to get this done right now. And what are we waiting for? What is Norvell doing? And I just don't necessarily know that that's true. I don't know that a quarterback committing yesterday versus December 28th really matters that much in the grand scheme of things. You know, we got to get him the playbook, or I just don't think it's that important. So I expect a decision soon, probably before New Year's, maybe here around Christmas, but still nothing on portal quarterbacks. What do you think, Richie?
Yeah, I think, obviously, I think Cam Ward's probably considered the better prospect in the portal right now, but I'm happy with DJU as well. I think it would be hilarious that, just from a Florida State standpoint, if Cam Ward ends up at Ohio State, like there's been a lot of smoke there, and Florida State gets DJ and Miami has nobody. And now they're scrambling because they just spent all
KJ
this
Jefferson,
money.
baby.
Yeah, please let them have KJ Jefferson. I'd be perfectly fine with that. Yeah, so I think it is a waiting game for Mike Norvell, and it's got to be a somewhat uncomfortable, I think, because you have DJ over here said, hey, yeah, we're just waiting to hear from Cam, and Cam Ward still is potentially contemplating going to the NFL draft. So I think DJ, I would greenlight him right now if it were me. But I think Mike Norvell's probably in the back of his mind. If Cam Ward's one of his top options weren't Miami, he probably would have already greenlit in DJ. But if you can keep Cam Ward away from Miami, that's a bonus, a benefit, so to speak. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think Florida State's in a good spot when it comes to the quarterback. I think they'll get one of those two for sure. Obviously we all want to hear sooner than later, but be a little patient. Maybe we'll get some an early Christmas gift later today or tomorrow.
Hunter, thank you for the love as well. Merry Christmas, my guy. Listen, I love these super chats where you guys just tell us Merry Christmas. We should celebrate this holiday 12 times a year. I appreciate you, Hunter. Harlan, you can play him a noise there. These super chat noises are great today. It's 50 or more to get an FSU noise, so no pressure. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know where I fall on this. I do know this. Usually when an entire fan base celebrates something early, it doesn't usually go down well for them. So
Marius Mims.
Yeah, I think that I think I'm actually leaning Cam Ward to the NFL or FSU. So we'll see. All right, Richie, I've talked about this too, so it's just your turn to get in on the love. Signing day didn't necessarily go the way that FSU thought. I've talked about this a couple of times, but I do want to get your take on it. A lot of people, so I saw this said the other day. I saw somebody say like, well, the wins are always more important than the losses on signing day. And here's the problem I have with that logic. To me, it's important that the kids sign, but signing is the expectation when you're committed, right? People did not cheer when you and Lindsay signed your marriage agreement. They cheered during your wedding ceremony, right? And so signing is just like Luke Kromenhoek would have been signed well in advance of last Wednesday had the NCAA let him be signed before that, right? Like that, the signing of the paper is just a technicality that locks in the commitment. And so I saw a comment on Twitter that said the wins are always more important than the losses on signing day. And to me, I'm glad that Luke and Cam and some of these guys signed, but I don't really consider that a massive win. Signing, again, is the expectation. Nobody leaves their wedding ceremony and then rips up the document, the paper, right? Like you just sign it because that's part of the technicality of what you've just done. And so I don't necessarily consider those like massive wins. To me, it's what did you do with the guys that there was a question around. There was no question around Cam. There was no question around Jake Weinberg. There was no question around Luane McCoy or BJ Gibson or any of these other guys that we signed. And so to me, what did you do with the guys that you weren't sure on or the guys that there was an expectation that you were going to sign? Armando Blunt, KJ Bolden, guys that were committed to you. How much they were committed to you at that point, I don't know. But that's where I think Florida State kind of went 0 for 4. Maybe give them 1 for 5 with Denaz White. That's obviously a very different recruitment than the other 4 that you missed on. I'm not trying to slight that kid or crap on that kid at all. But he's more of a development guy where the other guys are certainly, kind of step in and play right away. Maybe everybody except for Blunt. But anyway, so yeah, I think, and in the heat of the moment on signing day, the evening of signing day, I was pretty heated. I was pretty hot. I want to reiterate, I think the class is still really good. I think you did a great job at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line. Secondary was still really good, and you got the best kicker in the country. And so I think the class overall is still really, really good. A little bit deficient at defensive line, a little bit deficient at linebacker. But you missed out on your top 4 prospects. If you would have signed KJ Bolden, Jeremiah Smith, Armando Blunt, or LJ McCray, all 4 of them would have been your top recruits in your class. All 4 of them are rated higher than any other kid that signed. And so to me, I think that, the class is good. The day was not good. The day itself was not necessarily a good day. So I got a lot of people that agreed with that. I got a lot of people that thought that I was being a hater on Wednesday night. Hopefully at least explaining it like somewhat thoughtfully and not just yelling and cussing like I was doing on Wednesday night. Like people, will at least hear what I have to say there, but I'll open the floor to you and see what you agree with, what you disagree with there, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, and I'll I'll start by saying I'm very happy with Mike Norvell. I think he is the man to continue to lead Florida State and is a phenomenal head coach and will be for hopefully the next 10 plus years. He's not had a single good signing day.
Yeah.
Not one. And that's, it's great that he builds a good class. And hey, a top 10 class, we haven't had that since 2017 or Jimbo's last class before he left.
That was 6. So it's not too much different. Like it wasn't like that was a number 1 class. So it's not too much different to give him some. And I agree with you on Norvell. So
yeah, all in on Norvell, but again, to your point, he's not had a good signing day, and it almost seems like him and this staff has been caught off guard on signing day, which to me is the more concerning thing. KJ Bolden, shout out Zach Glowstein at 247. He'd been talking for a month that, hey, we need to watch out for this guy, and everyone else was just kind of like, oh no, he's in the boat, we're good. But yeah, it was definitely, you did not get any good news on signing day other than the people who were already committed to you signing with you. I love your analogy. It made me think like, man, how cool would it be if at my wedding, I have 2 different women walk down the aisle. One's Lindsay and one is the other one.
Oh my gosh. Stop this analogy right now, bro.
You're going in. No, but it's to your point. Obviously marriage is much more of a commitment than, deciding where you're going to go to college. But yeah, you have these guys and, Jeremiah Smith, okay, at least he didn't go to Miami, but the fact that he only had a Miami hat and an Ohio State hat in his bag, he did not have a Florida State hat. So, okay, you finished 3rd for Jeremiah Smith, who you felt really good about just the day before. So yeah, signing the class itself is a very good class. It's top 10, but it could have been elite. And I need this staff to find out how to get elite classes moving forward. Because again, we've been really successful in the portal, TJ. And, I'm not one who says it's not sustainable, but you can't bank on that every single year to just find a Keon Coleman. You're just not going to do that. So yeah, signing day was a disappointment. The class itself, very happy. Luke Romanhawk, Cam Davis, Landon Thomas, a lot of really good players in this class, but the optics matter as well, in my opinion, because you had juniors watching signing day saying, oh, these 4 guys are down to Florida State and some other schools, and none of them picked Florida State. That's a problem, and it needs to be addressed moving forward. And I think Mike is the type of person who will evaluate his staff. Look, you just went 13-0 and won the ACC championship. It's hard to take a macro look at this staff, but some people clearly are not pulling their weight. I'm looking at the linebacker room. He's got to go. And I don't like calling for people's jobs or anything like that, but are you really getting what you need from that? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, like you said, I think certain people on the staff do things really, really well. I think the linebacker room has been developed really, really well. I
They have.
don't know that many other coaches in this country get as much out of Kalen and Tatum and DJ that Randy did, and so I think there's a lot of, validity in saying that some positions are developed really well. I think that Coach JP develops really, really well. You look at multiple first-round picks the last couple of years that came through the portal, but Jared Verse, Kiera Thomas, Jermaine Johnson, Pat Payton, some Byron Turner, some guys that you've homegrown and some guys that you've gotten out of the portal. They've done a good job at developing. Even defensive tackle. A lot of people get on Odell. I think what they've done with Farmer is really good. I think what they've done with Fabo over the last few years is really good. Obviously, Braden Fisk, getting him to his absolute highest potential. You're going to see the jump that Darrell Jackson made next year, hopefully. And so, I think that all of that matters. But at the same time, is the recruiting up to the standard at Florida State? And that's on Mike Norvell to figure out. And if he thinks that it's fine, then I'm going to stop wasting my breath about it, because if Mike Norvell thinks it's fine, then it's not my job. Like, I'm going to keep making these videos, whether we go 0-12 or 12-0. Richie and I are going to be here. We did this after Jacksonville State. Now, some of you guys may be newer, but we did this after Jacksonville State, and it was painful. But
That was
we're
a
going to be here
fun
one
show.
way. Yeah, we're going to be here one way or the other. It doesn't matter. So it's on Mike to figure it out. And if Mike doesn't think it's a problem and doesn't want to figure it out, then that's fine. We'll move on and we'll try to do our best in the portal. We'll try and do our best developing kids that weren't as highly sought after, in the recruiting ranks. So, a frustrating day. Again, the marriage thing, I don't know how I thought of that, but same thing, right? Like, when you get your driver's license, same thing, right? You're excited when you
Steven, who's celebrating the end of my marriage over here in the comments.
You celebrate when you pass the test for your driver's license, not when you actually sign the actual thing and take the stupid picture. Like, the signing is just a formality. So anyway, that's my take on that. I will stop. I think now that we've talked about it together, I'll probably stop complaining about signing day. I've ranted about it 2 or 3 times. I've given you my thoughts. You would hope that things improve. And if they don't, man, I don't know what to say. I'll probably, like I said, try to stop complaining about it, because I can't make it improve. Right? Like, I can't say, it will or it won't. So, Florida State did land a pretty big recruit yesterday, 5-star offensive lineman Solomon Thomas, turning the page really quick from 2024 to 2025. 5-star offensive lineman. Now, Florida State's offensive line recruiting certainly hasn't seen the same hit that defensive line or linebacker have, and Alex Atkins keeps churning away over there. Blue chips galore on that side of the ball. You picked up ITT and Jonathan Daniels, who at one time was a 5-star on 3, as well as a couple other prospects that Florida State really likes. They really like Ty Hilton, and then I'm probably missing somebody else. But anyway, 5-star offensive lineman Solomon Thomas. Obviously, the jokes after that happened were, well, can they keep him committed for the rest of the year? But committed to the FSU over Clemson, Auburn, Florida, Miami, Ohio State was in there, Alabama in there. This one always felt like it was going to go FSU's way. It was just kind of a matter of when it would happen. 6'4", 315, 320 pounds. Number 1 interior offensive lineman in the 2025 class. We get caught up in, he's overall number 18. Position rankings are honestly so much more valuable than where they are anywhere else. Like, how do you compare an offensive lineman with a wide receiver, with a quarterback, with a running back? They're always going to give credence to the skill positions. So how does he compare to other offensive linemen? Well, 247 says he's the best in the country. So a big pickup for the Noles. Florida State off to a good start in the 2025 class. We belabor the point about the 2024 finish. Finishing around number 10. I think they're right at like 9 or 10 right now. And that could vary a little bit based on how things go. down the stretch, I've got them at 9 right now on 247. Who picks up guy? I mean, at the end of the day, if you finish 9, if you finish 11, like, I don't think it really matters a whole lot. But I expect him to get a little bit better in the 2025 class. I think they'll finish like top 7 next year in the 2025 class. And if they can land a couple of the big fish that they, keep a couple of the big fish, Thomas might be one of those guys, late, then that might be even better. So we'll see. But yeah, a good pickup yesterday for Florida State. I know it doesn't really like fix all of the wounds from Wednesday, but the staff has done a good job of moving on and continuing to move forward. And they've done that here as well.
Yeah, it's a nice start to the 2024 class. If this can be an elite class, like I think we all hope and expect, like we thought this year would have been, which, fell just short. But the staff is good, man. Looking at the 20 or this past season's talent composite on 247, Florida State had the 20th most talented roster in the country, went 13-0, won the ACC. They were behind schools like TCU, Auburn, North Carolina, Florida, Penn State, Miami. All these schools had better quote unquote talent based on recruiting rankings than Florida State did. And Florida State went out on all they did was win every single game they played. And I don't care about this exhibition coming up. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to be upset if we lose, but I don't care. The 2023 team went 13-0, and whether we beat Georgia or lose, I don't care. That 13-0 is what I love. Shout out Garnet and Gold, one of our sponsors. We love them. They have a 13-0 undefeated tumbler, and I need to get myself to order that. Probably when we finish up here, because, man, it's just, TJ, I'm still not over the snub. I realize that every time I talk about it. It's just so heartbreaking and frustrating, but still appreciating this 2013 team. But again, to your point, the class is off to a great start, and don't let Mike have a top 10 roster, a top 5 roster, because I think if that's the case, you're in the playoff every single year because of what he did with a top 20 roster this year.
Yeah, especially considering the 12-team playoff, just kind of like what you think that, they might be able to do in that situation. Hey, I'm actually looking up that tumbler right now that you're talking about it. If you shop at Garnet and Gold, of course, use the code NOSLAW, NOSLAW, to save 15%. I want a coffee mug, because too many times, like, I drink out of these Disney mugs, shout out the ops, that my wife just puts the coffee in. And so, yeah, I'm kind of with you there. Like, I need to figure out where that 13-0 thing is. And I'm going to use code NOSLAW to save 15%. I believe if you order $75 or more, which is not hard to do, if you just add like a Nike shirt in or two, you get free shipping. Usually in the state of Florida, I get my order a day or two after.
It's quick.
Order on, it won't be this week because of Christmas, but order on Monday. I'm typically getting that thing like Wednesday or Thursday. It's pretty close to Amazon Prime. So shout out Garnet and Gold for all of their support. Richie, you brought up the snub, and some people have asked about recruiting and if I think that had an impact, or if we think it had an impact. Honestly, I don't. Yeah, and people are going to have different takes on that and just be like, well, how could you say that? Because KJ said he was committed for 3 weeks. I don't know, man. Kids lie. KJ said he was committed to Mike Norvell and the staff and the other players around when he was on campus the weekend before. So whatever, man. Like, I'm not saying he was lying when he said he was committed for 3 weeks, but if he told the staff and the recruits that he was committed, I mean, he's not telling the truth at one of those points. And that's fine. Kids lie. I'm good with it. Yeah. Kids, especially in recruiting. Kids lie all the time. Kids lie to all these staffs Did you lie at 17? Okay, well, there you go, right? Kids lie. I'm 33 and still tell little white lies here and there. So, whatever, move on from that. But yeah, I don't believe so, because look at the schools these kids flip to. Ohio State, not in the playoffs. Miami, 7-5. Georgia got snubbed. Georgia got snubbed too. Georgia should be in. Come on, Georgia's better than Texas and Washington.
Georgia's better than Florida State. That's why I hate these committee rankings. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, Florida State got snubbed, but like Georgia did. Like KJ flipped to Georgia, they got snubbed. Same thing, man. Armando Blunt, like, he went to Miami.
We knew he was gone.
Alabama or something, or Michigan, like, that'd be one thing. But like, he went to Miami. So I don't know. I don't believe so. I don't believe the snub had anything to do with it.
No.
Now, do I think that like being in the playoffs could have created some excitement? I mean, maybe, but then who knows, man? Like, the staff couldn't pick up that KJ was like wavering anyway, and so like maybe they'd have been even more distracted. So let
me ask you this: Do you think our fan base as a whole, because we've had nothing but bad news really until the lawsuit that just happened. If
We
Florida
got
State
Marvin
had,
Jones Jr. We
yeah,
got Marvin Jones.
if Florida State had not got snubbed, would signing day have been more of like, oh well, we got the playoff coming up.
It piled on. Yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely piled on. I mean, people would have still been frustrated. I think they probably, I don't know, there's an aspect of our fan base that, like, no matter what happens, people are going to be miserable. I've found
yeah,
that, like working with
that's
Allie
every
and
fan
stuff, like
base.
the Gators are the same way,
That's
like,
every fan base. Yeah,
yeah. So I think that, I think, yeah, no, I don't think so. I think it would have been better because, like you said, but
yeah,
at the same time, like people would have just used that as another like talking point. See, like they're in the playoffs and they still can't recruit. Like I don't know, man. They're just people are going to be miserable one way or the other. But I agree. Like what I've seen is the fan base has been in a bad mood for 2-3 weeks now. And so yeah, that would have just been like another thing piling on, right?
We didn't even get to really celebrate the Marvin Jones Jr. transfer. Like we're like,
no, not at all.
Cool. We're like, cool. Like, and a year ago, that would have been massive news. This year's like, okay, cool. Like we knew he was coming. Nobody
Richie,
cared.
we never celebrated the ACC championship.
We did for about 12 hours.
How could we?
For about 12 hours, we did.
Well, I'm just saying on here.
Yeah,
like, we never did it. It's the only game since we started the show that we did not do a recap for, ever.
It's crazy, yeah.
Because how could you? How could you? Yeah. I mean, we tried to give a little bit of love in our rant that night, like, hey, shout out the kids, shout out their effort. Like it was like 3 minutes. So, yeah, I think it's. I mean, it is frustrating, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really think the snub had a lot to do with it. I think the coaches just got to close. No. At the end of the day, the coaches got to close.
Oh, 100%.
So, all right, we're wrapping up here. Let's talk about this and let's get out of here. Let people enjoy their Christmas Eve. Hey, I appreciate you guys a ton for all the support this year. I mean, we're not going anywhere. We're not done or anything, but thank you guys again for being here this morning. All the support this year. We've seen obviously tremendous growth, and it's been a lot of fun. So thank you guys for that. Orange Bowl, Richie, how little do you care about this? I'm not trying to be that guy, but I'm about to.
It's an exhibition game, and I'm trying to look at the positives. I think I'm excited to see.
Help me see them, man.
If Hakeem is healthy, Vandrevius Jacobs, I want to see him play. Destin Hill, if he's healthy, I want to see. I'm more excited about seeing the younger guys play. Like I said, the 2013 season was over in Charlotte. It was done. 2023. It was over in Charlotte. That was it. Because I joked about on Twitter, and it kind of blew up a little bit, but like Kirk, I know he's not calling the game, but if he was, when George is up by 3 touchdowns, you'd be like, yeah, well, the committee ultimately got it right. And I think everyone who defended them was vindicated from this. But as a diehard Florida State fan, I really hate it for those kids. And I feel like we're getting a lot of that. I think Joe Tessitore is on the call for this game. And he's the one who just destroyed us. We were at the game, TJ, so we didn't hear it. But apparently just destroyed us the entire ACC championship game. Like, oh, we finally got a first down and all this nonsense. I don't care about this game, but I know for a fact leading up to it, an hour before the game, I'm going to be on my couch. I'm going to have my IPA on my beer shelf right there next to me. And I'm going to start yelling at the TV when they start taking subtle jabs at Florida State. And I think it's only going to be so much worse because of the lawsuit that was filed. It'll be interesting to see how much they talk about it because, ESPN's not named in the lawsuit, but they're clearly, who Florida State's going after as well as the ACC. All of this is just crazy to me, but long story short, I don't care about the outcome, but I'm excited to watch the young players and see how they do.
Yeah, it's tough to not be, kind of negative about it, right? And I know the fan base is not thrilled, but at the same time, I mean, it is football. It's one more game that you get to watch.
Is this the first Orange Bowl that neither team wants to be there? Because that's typically a privilege. Georgia doesn't want to be there. Florida State doesn't want to be there.
It's interesting crazy that none of the Georgia guys are opted out, though.
We'll see what happens. I think Kirby probably keeps that a little more quiet. But
you think so? Maybe.
Do you think Bowers is going to play?
I think he'd be dumb to. He's been banged up.
I agree. The only reason Beck is playing is because he's coming back next year. Otherwise, he wouldn't be playing.
I agree with that. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm just not very excited. Are we doing a preview on Wednesday night? Are we doing a Georgia preview on Wednesday night or no?
I think we kind of have to just
Oh,
because we're so consistent. But let's both, let's pick a specific bottle of whiskey and we'll take a shot every 10 minutes and maybe go 30,
put a
40 minutes
straw in
at
it.
most. Yeah. um, yeah, because we should have a much better idea by Wednesday, who's playing, who's not. Is the line still holding at 14 and a half or so?
Something like that, yeah.
Which I'm taking Georgia if that's the case. I hate to say it, but
Um, yeah, I like them to cover if it stands there. So, okay, let's do some Christmas talk and let's get out of here. Richie, are you an eggnog guy or no?
no, but I will drink it. I think it's just more tradition. So I'm actually going to Publix when we finish up here to get the last of the dishes for or side dishes for tonight. I'm gonna get some eggnog. I'm gonna stop at the liquor store right next door, get some bourbon, and yeah, it's gonna be a fun day.
Do you have any Christmas traditions that you guys do? I'm a big eggnog guy, so I mean, I genuinely like it. So,
Yeah.
my son does too. So now I have to buy twice as much. But any big traditions you guys do?
Not really. Typically we go to Charlotte for Christmas because I have two sisters and my nieces and nephew up there, which is always fun. But we we moved the calendar this year. Obviously, you guys know why for the ACC championship. So my mom's heading up there. I think she's already up there. So it's just me and my wife today. Actually, one thing we used to do at my last hospital I worked at is they had free meals for everybody on Christmas, whether you were an employee, a visitor, whatever you did, and they'd ask department leaders to sign up and serve the food. So I would always sign up, and Lindsay would come in with me. So tomorrow morning, actually tonight, we're gonna make Christmas cookies and different things, and we're gonna go to the hospital at 6:30 in the morning and just give it to the staff and just thank them for being there, because nobody wants to work on Christmas, but we want to show them that we do appreciate that.
Dude, you're the man. That's dope. Yeah, we don't do anything real crazy. We'll go to a Christmas Eve service here in a little bit. Do like the whole milk and cookies thing with the kids tonight for Santa. Grab some carrots and throw them out on the front lawn, and then go grab them and
The
throw them.
reindeer, love it.
Kids will be shocked when they're not there in the morning. We always open up one Christmas present on Christmas Eve, and it's always like a matching set of family Christmas jammies that our elf brings. We always read the Christmas story and the fake Christmas story. The 'Twas the Night Before. We always read Luke 2 and then 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. So
Nice.
anyway, so yeah, but like I will say we've done a good job of keeping Christmas Eve. Like we just do Christmas Eve. And we
Yeah.
always make reindeer pancakes. So we did that this morning.
Nice.
So my wife has like a whole calendar. So we interrupted the calendar to do this show. So if you guys appreciate that, then hit the subscribe button because we certainly would appreciate it. So, all right, a good Christmas gift for the Knowles. FSU sues the ACC, and 2025 recruiting is going to finish better than 2024. I can already feel it. I can feel it in my
Yes.
bones, Richie. So,
Absolutely.
all right, I don't have much else. You got any shout outs or anything before we go?
No, just Merry Christmas, everybody, or Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate. And we really do appreciate y'all's support. I think we just passed 4 million lifetime views, which is crazy to think about. But we're nothing without the people who tune in on the podcast or watch live or with us now. So just really appreciate all of y'all.
Yeah, what's crazy about that, and I tweeted it, but I haven't said like thanks to you guys that are on here. We passed 1 million views this year, and we also passed 4 million views this year, which is kind of crazy
nuts.
to think
Yeah.
about. We passed 1 million like earlier in the year. I think in February. I don't know. I just can't remember, and I don't keep track of it as much. But yeah, early in the year, and then have gotten, I don't know, 6, 7, like in 9 months have gone for like another 3 million, which is nuts. So yeah, it's been fun and not slowing down anytime soon. So Merry Christmas to you guys. Happy holidays. I don't know if we'll have a video coming out tomorrow night or tomorrow on Christmas or not. I did last year, but I don't know. I didn't put any time in anything this year. So go enjoy the day with your family. If you don't celebrate Christmas, thanks for tuning in anyway. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Love you. Go Knowles.